What is happening, YouTube? It is a couple of months in to World of Warcraft Shadowlands, and there are some new add-ons that I thought I would share with you. Maybe some of them aren't so much new as they are old but really good. So I thought I would share these with you because some of these I've been using since Legion. But the first one I want to show you is a new add-on called Venture Plan. And Venture Plan is an add-on that works for your command table. So you can open it, you can automatically tell sort of how my table looks much different than most. That is because the add-on actually changes the UI for your missions, which I believe is very, very helpful. So Venture Plan is the name of the add-on. I'm going to show you a little bit about how it sort of works. So I have all of my minions out on missions right now, but what you would do is you would, at a glance here, you can see these are laid out sort of like cards, and you can look at the health, the attack power, and the time and everything that it would take to complete the mission, as well as the amount of anima that it would take to do it. So if we, for instance, open this one, you can see that it'll take, in my reservoir right now, I have 85 anima, not very much, actually. I need to go out and farm some more. But as you can see, all of my missions are all my companions are out on missions right now. What this does is you will stack your minions in here, and you obviously have to have one of the named mobs in here as well with this certain level to meet the prerequisites for the mission. But what it will do is it'll have this little book right here. And a lot of people don't really understand how this add-on actually works. Well, if you click the guide, it'll tell you whether or not you win or lose based on what you populate your slots with here. So, for instance, here it will say that I will die in 3 turns, and I'm not going to win this mission. Now, if I were going to be victorious, it would say victorious and then tell me how many turns it would take to win the particular mission. So that is sort of what you have to do to determine whether or not you're going to win or lose. Super handy add-on, very helpful, huge time saver. And again, it also will show you whether or not you are looking at, an adventure campaign here, which you can see I have one that's almost level 50 rare or 48 rare. That's coming up here that I've got to complete, which will give me 1,000 reputation with Wild Hunt, continue my campaign, and then also award follower XP. So this, I just like the UI of this a lot better. It's a lot smoother. It makes a lot more sense. I do like how you can scroll down and see how long you have left as well as your resources and everything, just sort of at a glance. It's just a much better layout. I don't know why the UI wasn't similar to this when they launched, but luckily we have Venture Plan, which is the name of the add-on, that you can check out to help you with those missions. Super easy and a huge time saver, I think. Okay, the next add-on I want to talk about is called Conroe, which, if I remember correctly, stands for like conflict rotation. Conflict rotation optimizer. There you go. And what this does is it will suggest an optimally, like your next optimal button to press. So like the next optimal thing that you would do, for instance, for like my DPS class is like, say, a Death Knight. So what I'll do, it's suggesting right now, if you look down at my bar, that I hit my Unholy Blight button. You can see that because it's got like the stop sign, like this octagon with a skull on it. That is the add-on suggesting that I press this button. So I'm going to press it, and then it's telling me to get close, and then to hit these certain buttons as they light up. Now what this is doing is it's walking me through my class rotation. Okay, and you can do this with different settings in the add-on as well. So obviously these things that have popped up here, like when you see up here the Abomination Limb, or Apocalypse or Army, it's telling me that, hey, these are hot buttons right now. If you press them, you're going to get optimal use out of them. So basically what it is it just suggests the buttons to press for the current spec and class that you play. So if you go back to where I had the add-on here, you can see that I have all these different classes here as well. Now, these are separate modules that work off of the Conflict Rotation Optimizer main add-on. So, for instance, if I wanted to switch to a lock, I could switch to lock, but then whenever I switch to lock, I need to make sure that I've enabled my warlock module so that the actual rotation will make sense and it knows what buttons to press. So it's kind of neat. It's something that I highly, highly recommend for new people. But it's also something that I use as just a reminder, I've been playing a Death Knight for years now, but from time to time, I just like to look down and know what to hit. Or it also reminds me, hey, your cooldown is up. Go ahead and use it. And that's mostly what I use it for. But for nonetheless, the other thing that is nice is that we're in Shadowlands now, and we're in an expansion that is a little bit nicer to alts, right? So if you're not familiar with playing a class, it really takes the pain out of trying to figure out a whole new class by showing you what to do. So for instance, if I wanted to go play, something I've never played before, or that I'm not really accustomed to, I could switch it to, whatever, Brew Monk, Windwalker Monk, right? Like I want to learn the DPS rotation of Monk. So I roll a Windwalker Monk and enable this add-on with this module, and it will tell me what buttons to push to optimally play that class. So it basically teaches you as you go, which is super, super handy too, especially if you're playing a class you've never played before. Highly recommend that. But yeah, you can search for Conroe, and then you have to download the modules separately by class. So maybe you only want to do like a shaman and a Death Knight. That's fine. Just download those modules and you can use those. But Conroe, conflict rotation optimizer, super awesome add-on, super handy, and for the most advanced player and also for the beginner. So highly recommend that. Okay, now another add-on that I will recommend is, and this is an old one and it's a no-brainer, everyone that raids should use it. Everyone that doesn't raid should use it. It is probably the single best. I think it's the best one single add-on you should use, and that is WeakAuras. WeakAuras is super, super helpful, and you can program it to do your own things, which I use myself. If you look on my screen right now, you can see that it is telling me to summon my pet, because I am a bonehead and will forget that I need to summon my pet, or my pet will die, and then I will need to be reminded. That is one WeakAura that I have made myself just for my Death Knight that reminds me to take out my pet if for some reason I forget to take out my pet or my pet dies. So that is one example. Another thing that a lot of people don't realize, and you really should, is that there is a website, which I believe Method actually owns, called wago.io. That's WAGO.io. You can go to this website and you can actually search through a library of different auras and things that you can use to basically make your gameplay optimal. So if, for instance, you're doing some Shadowlands raiding and you want a complete suite of add-ons, or not add-ons, but fight reminders, timers, etc., you can use it in conjunction with DBM or Bigwigs. Bigwigs is very good with the timers I've found. And use this WeakAuras set to essentially just kind of walk you through. It says I'm in combat for some reason. But it will walk you through essentially all of the fight mechanics and warn you ahead of time before things actually happen. So super, super useful, super handy. Again, I know this is an old add-on. This isn't something new. A lot of you are already using it, and you should be. So if you're not, surprise, you probably should go download this right now. And probably wouldn't hurt to go to the wago.io website and just sort of flip through the different class WeakAuras and the different raid WeakAuras and even PvP WeakAuras. I mean, there's a ton of different applications that you can use this for. It's a very versatile add-on, which is why I highly recommend having WeakAuras and using it religiously. All right, and the other lesser-known add-on that I will bring to your attention today is Questionably Epic Dungeon Tips. Questionably Epic Dungeon Tips is a module add-on that is used for dungeons. And it's super helpful in Mythics, where it will tell you sort of how to fight every boss. It just pops up a little box with notes on it that explain encounters in a brief and concise manner, sort of like having a floating dungeon journal sort of on your screen for you. It also will illustrate different patterns of enemies, explain to you what you need to interrupt, what you need to avoid, things of that nature. So it's super helpful for that. If you need something just sort of pop up to explain things to you on the fly, I highly recommend using Questionably Epic Dungeon Tips. Or you can search for QE Dungeon Tips, I think is what it mostly goes by. And that is something that I have been using for a while now too. But it was super helpful at the beginning of Shadowlands because no one really knew exactly what to expect. And some of the stuff was a little off at the beginning, but now it seems to have been ironed out, and it's a very good add-on. So if you're just starting dungeons or want to get better, QE Dungeon Tips or Questionably Epic Dungeon Tips is also an awesome add-on. So that is it. Those are just a few add-ons that I would suggest you check out that I find particularly helpful. You may or may not. Completely up to you. If you have something you'd like to share, drop it in the comments. I'm always checking out new add-ons. Super excited to have found Venture Plan. That was really a highlight for me. Once we had that, I was sort of, it's nice to put that stupid command table on autopilot. It's very nice. Huge time saver. So find me on Twitter at Susie Ruin. And you can also find the Susie Ruin Show just by searching the Susie Ruin Show on YouTube to find these videos. Should be a little bit of a backlog there. I'm going to be doing more here as Shadowlands marches on and all of that goodness. So appreciate you guys watching. Again, follow me on Twitter at Susie Ruin. Click the YouTube stuff, whatever you do. It's a bell, I think, whatever. Do the YouTube thing if you want. If you don't, that's fine too. Like the video if you liked it. I'm going to be putting out more regardless. So thanks for watching and enjoy Shadowlands.